going to be here.
Well, I guess it's time to talk
All right,
more.
take another minute.
Yeah, it's time to talk more about Love Live. So
Yeah, we
Sunshine.
got time. Say
I
hi to
gotta-
your sister.
No, we
so-
don't. We don't have time. That's how we're starting the show now. Welcome. Welcome to podcast episode... Well, it's episode 2 of E3 Talk. And I'm joined once again, because we're talking about Nintendo, I'm joined once again by Dan and Mike. They're both here.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone's here. So yes, we're just talking about Nintendo. We did our section on everything else. And I guess I'll just start by asking you guys, how does this Nintendo Direct compare to last year's?
Last year's?
Yeah, I mean, is this better or worse than last year?
Oh man, I'm gonna need to look.
No, you don't need to look up last year.
I really don't.
Well, Mike, do you remember how you felt about last year's, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
This E3 overall, I think definitely was better.
Can you possibly remind me?
Well, because
Yes.
really the big thing about last year that we talked about was just that it felt like we didn't get to see quite enough stuff. And I think that was kind of our consensus about a lot of E3 last year, was that it could have been better if they just gone a little extra mile. And with Nintendo, that's how we felt, because we spent quite a bit of time talking about games that weren't there. And I don't really feel like we need to do that this year, honestly.
No.
So
There was a...
yeah, this went pretty well, and
Yeah. It's definitely like a direct that starts a little slow and then really builds up at the end.
yeah, I would say so. I watched it, and I didn't really get super excited for much of what was in it because, well, I might have if some Smash leaks didn't happen. But I was watching it, and I'm like, I think this is okay, and it finished, and I was like, yeah, that was alright. Like, I wasn't really sure if it was actually all that good, but once I kind of mentally put the list together of the games and was like, yeah, I'm buying at least like 5 of these, I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good turnout, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of the games they showed, or actually most of the games they showed, we knew about. So that, that could be considered a little negative in that, there was no surprise. But the surprise really was just seeing all the games we knew about and more about.
Yeah.
And actually showing all the features, and it made these games really pop.
I think that was good with we got to see footage of them after, of course, on the Treehouse streams too, which is always a plus.
Yeah. I'd say there was probably one surprise for me, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit.
Maybe the last one.
Oh, sure.
Well, the last one was a big surprise, and then there's
I know which one. Yeah.
Excited about that one.
Okay, so I guess we are gonna just dive into it. We'll go over the first thing. This is, of course, not a new game. We're talking DLC for Smash Brothers because we might as well. This was kind of how they bookended the show. We got 2 character reveals, which I was not anticipating, and it would have been great if we didn't know about this, because Dragon Quest for months has been. People have been saying it got leaked or whatever, and it's always been really frustrating because, I mean, we don't really care about Dragon Quest at all, so we don't really have any interest. What about you?
I'm glad that my favorite character from Mario Sports Mix, the Slime, was at least part of the moveset.
Slime is showing up, I guess. Yeah, the memorable Slime. That's really the only thing I can name from Dragon Quest. I mean, it's kind of funny because I'm joking, but I'm also kind of right, because the character we got from Dragon Quest is not even one character. He's multiple heroes from the game, because maybe they really are just that generic. That's kind of the joke,
Is the character itself just called the hero?
Yes, the character is the hero. And yeah, there's 4 characters from the many games that they have represented as skins, and they all appear in the final Smash.
Yeah, I'd say the newest the hero is probably he's probably the weakest looking. I do like the one from 3.
The newest one only looks good because his face is not Goku's face, and the rest all kind of have Goku's face. But he just looks like Trunks, so it's not really that much of an improvement.
Yeah, an Android 18 mix.
So I don't really, I don't have a whole lot to say about Dragon Quest. I do think that the character has some potential because I do like characters who have a lot of like weird utility options, and while we don't exactly know how this guy works, the fact that he has all these spells is definitely you could do weird stuff with him, but I don't know if it'll necessarily make him good.
Even though like we're not super excited for this guy, at least his like move list in general seems like it's gonna have some cool stuff in it.
I want to know more about how it works.
So
I was actually really disappointed that we didn't get to see this guy on a Treehouse stream, because I kind of assumed he's coming out soon, but maybe that's just me.
So I'm just gonna say one thing.
Okay.
This is gonna be a little controversial.
Okay.
Dragon Quest music is awful.
Dragon Quest music to me feels very old-fashioned, and I mean.
But what I really mean is, there's
we're only getting
really
2 songs. It's fine.
Well, yeah, it's Square Enix, so we're only getting 2 songs. And also it's also because of the composer is also a complete horrible person. Yeah,
we've heard those things. I mean, it doesn't really impact the series itself, but we've been making jokes about the music for a while, because this guy, the music in the Dragon Quest games isn't even the official like orchestral composition. He intentionally makes them put in bad MIDIs so that people will buy his soundtrack CDs.
And I'm worried that that's going to be the deal in Smash, is that we're just going to get really bad MIDI.
Square is already notorious because in Final Fantasy there are only 2 tracks, and they are just the direct rips of the tracks. There's no remixes. So Square kind of has like a raw deal when it comes to their representation. I mean, Cloud is a pretty big character as far as his moveset, and so it's possible that the hero could be too. I think he's got some interesting things going, especially since he's a new character who has the Link's shield mechanic, who is not Link. So that's kind of a neat idea to see that coming back. But also all his spells, and I think he does have a magic meter, so we have yet another character with a meter in this game.
So, I do like that he's also like represented by basically 4 different characters, because I really liked how like the Koopalings were all playable with Bowser Jr.
Yeah,
and even like Alf. You could argue that like Alf could have just been an Echo Fighter, but if you're gonna do more than like 1 or 2,
it's a neat idea.
Skins.
I don't discount the idea.
There's no official name for any of these guys?
Some of them have official names, but in every game you can choose the name, so it doesn't really matter. And that's why they went with Hero, because it's just, hey, these are the heroes of Light or whatever. Yeah. So that's all that matters, I guess. I mean, the stage is neat looking too, I want to say.
If anything, apparently from what I've read around the internet, is that this is like it's got to even be in there.
Of course.
Because
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest is huge over there. Well, no one really cares in the West.
That was the thing I wanted to say, was that in Japan they probably love this announcement, and we're probably much more interested in the follow-up announcement.
Yeah.
So we can get into that if you want.
Oh boy!
This was a dual opportunity reveal. I was very surprised to have 2 reveals. This reveal would have been extremely awesome if it was not leaked only a few days before. I don't really want to complain too much about that because I've already made a video on the leaks.
The thing about this one, though, is that it was leaked, true, but it was so unbelievable that no one really thought.
I don't really think it was that unbelievable, because we've already. Well, no, because Nintendo and Microsoft has been cooperating with Nintendo in some ways recently, so this isn't really that abnormal. This would have been a lot crazier if this happened in Smash 4. But now I think it is less crazy. To me, it's one of those things. Banjo-Kazooie, of course, if you don't know. Banjo joining is one of those things that I think is a long time coming for a lot of people. Obviously, by now, everyone should know about how Rare used to be with Microsoft. They used to be with Nintendo, and then they went to Microsoft. But for many years, I was always very baffled that people didn't seem to know that. And that's why he wasn't in. because they did the Diddy Kong Racing remake and Banjo was not in it and stuff like that. So they have played kind of this hardline thing with the character in the past.
It's like ever since like for this character in particular, I feel like ever since like 64 he should have been there. Like he was always like
Melee.
Ever since like Melee around that, like he was always the one that was missing. Like where is he?
Would have been cool, yeah. He really does have the moveset, fits in very well. So it is to me really cool that he's finally showing up. I just wish it wasn't spoiled because
see, I didn't get spoiled because I didn't pay attention to the leaks.
Well, I try not to either, but people make jokes about it to me, so it's like I wasn't trying to get this stuff, but the thing was people were talking about Banjo, and I was confused because I was like, why is everyone pivoting from Dragon Quest to Banjo? For months people have been saying Dragon Quest. What could have happened to cause people to start making Banjo clickbait? And it was because one of the leakers who was leaking all of this stuff initially basically said, oh, it's actually going to be Banjo. Banjo's going to be announced. So I don't know. It's getting frustrating, and I really want it to stop.
I mean, Dragon Quest was leaked like the minute the game came out. Like,
that's an old one, and
like we knew it. Like he was coming. It was just when, and I guess now is the time.
So it was Erdrick, one of the skins that leaked, not just that it would be a generic.
That's true.
I guess that's close enough.
But that depends on the leak. Because some leaks were much more like it's just the specific character, others were just like, oh, it's Dragon Quest. And these guys didn't all have the same info very clearly, like that's just
as
to me
most
is the
leakers.
case. So I don't know, I mean, I don't really even like talking about them, but it's a frustrating thing that seems to happen with Smash quite a bit.
But it's fine, we got him.
Yeah, Banjo will definitely be, I mean, you know, I try to play every character a bit. And get a feel for what their basics are. So for me, it doesn't really matter that much who's in the fighter pass because it's like, well, I'm gonna give them all a good try, so you know I can at least annoy people who don't like them when I play.
I'm definitely gonna do a lot, play a lot of Banjo. Hero pass there.
Yeah, it depends on how his spell stuff works. That could be really interesting, but it also might be kind of a gimmick because like he literally has a spell that will kill him. So
yeah,
see, the hero, he looks more interesting to play. The hero, but when I look at the hero, I see interesting mechanics that don't really mean anything to me. When I look at Banjo, I can tell you exactly what everyone because
it's Banjo. So, he's got the moveset, you know.
He's got his spring jump. He's
all
got
his little things.
All the eggs, drop grenade. His spiral mountain. I know that was obvious.
Seeing the stage was really cool. Like
also, about Spiral Mountain, I will say though, you can kind of tell that Banjo isn't done yet. Mainly because when they showed Spiral Mountain, they really didn't show too much of it, which makes me think that Spiral Mountain is still like it's not there yet. Like it's not completely done.
I thought we got a decent enough look at it. I mean, it's like they're not going to show the whole thing, but
yeah, but we saw bottles. We saw Gruntillo's like big face cave thing.
Yeah, I wonder if there will
Mumbo?
be. I wonder if there will be more to it than that. I mean, we don't really know because if they want to go fan service, they want to try to show you as many characters as possible. You know, we'll see.
You know what I think? I think honestly, like they could maybe try incorporating like stage more, just have that be the stage itself.
I was thinking about that because the Spiral Mountain, the top of Spiral Mountain is just a flat area. It doesn't have platforms normally, so I do wonder if it is gonna kind of just the stage will go throughout different levels from the game, which could be really cool. It seems like they are sticking with the first game because his final smash is the ending of the first game, which I completely forgot about.
Ginginator.
I completely forgot about the
King K. Rool falling into the hole and then getting crushed by the rock.
Well,
that immediately click.
Oh sure, but
so
I forgot about the Ginginator. That's you know, like that totally. I forgot about.
Yeah. It's been I forget the names of the moves too, but like when he turns invincible with the yellow feathers. I know that
that'll be an interesting move, the Wonder Wing.
It just
there we go.
It's just seeing Banjo just with Nintendo characters on a Nintendo console with like
it's good to see it
the
again.
Nintendo. It just feels good. It feels really
with
good.
Because
there hasn't been a Banjo game in over 10 years. That's the real thing. Like, if Banjo had, a steady flow of decent releases over the year, it wouldn't have the same impact. But like a lot of things at Microsoft, good ideas have gone there and they've gotten smothered. And that's what's happened with Banjo. I mean, Rare, Sea of Thieves is not exactly like a complete success for Rare. It's caught a lot of flack since it came out. And, we've talked about how we've wished, sort of, well, I wouldn't say wished because I'm kind of ambivalent about this, but with a lot of these ports of older games, these remasters being a thing now, I think that Microsoft would be kind of a fool to not at least try and bring Banjo back in like a more updated fashion. It just seems like it's worth trying, even if it doesn't work that well. I mean, like, look at Yooka-Laylee. The sequel to Yooka-Laylee is not even a collectathon, so that tells you something.
I mean, honestly, maybe because they do have so many developers over at Microsoft, maybe grab like Double Fine now that they're pretty much done with Psychonauts.
It's very possible that they're going to try to do a collaborative thing. Some guys at Rare who have been there since the beginning and, other people. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that Banjo is one of those things, like, I mean, they're bringing Battletoads back, and Battletoads is a lot less popular than Banjo.
And you can tell that they really didn't put too much budget into that Battletoads game.
No, not really.
No.
It's very obvious.
I mean, I guess getting back on track of the Banjo content in the game itself, apparently on Twitter it was shown that we are going to be getting some new remixes for Grant Kirkhope.
Well, they played one in the trailer, so we already know we got that track. One. So I'm hopeful for some more. I think that the Banjo games are probably some of Grant Kirkhope's best music. I mean, granted, I've kind of had a beef with Grant Kirkhope over the years because
not a fan.
A lot of his music just annoys me. That's kind of the thing, is that it works for a game like that. Everything about Banjo is kind of annoying.
But to you, everything
Banjo
is Banjo.
It just I don't know. For me, the problem with it is that it's just like his music hasn't changed at all in 20 years. Like, it's very weird. It's like if Mario music still sounded just as simplistic as the original game's music. It's like a waste of the improved technology. I don't know.
The day they removed the boss from Mario was a good day.
Well, they haven't though. They're back in Mario Maker.
That is the closest. I will say that though. No. I will say that though. The new Super Mario Bros. Music is probably the closest that Mario came to feeling the way that Grant Kirkhope makes me feel. Where I'm just like, come on, can't you just try? I don't know. But I guess that's probably a good way to end the discussion, because we're going to move along now to the actual games that were shown, not DLC.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with a good one, Luigi's Mansion 3 from our folks at Next Level Games.
Guichi returns.
Yeah, this actually looks really good. We obviously only got like a quick reveal of it before this, but seeing some of the stuff, I did not play Dark Moon. I will admit that.
Neither did I.
But
I only got to the second dungeon.
Okay, so you didn't really play much of that. But I saw it. Like, I knew what they were trying to do with it. And then so I think that it's definitely... It was a cool side game. I don't think Luigi's Mansion is like an amazing game, but it was pretty cool for the time. It was a cool spin-off idea.
Good launch game.
Yeah, it served its purpose as an early launch title. And I think that, bringing it back with more complexity, because, like, the combat and stuff from what they were showing, you just have more... There's more to do, I'm
really impressed with it. Like, the things they showed, like, initially it didn't really look that great, at least from the first trailer, but...
Yeah, well, you needed to know more.
With everything shown, it's just this giant map that you can just go around, and...
Yeah.
It seems like it's going to be a more puzzle-oriented, like, Resident Evil style, like... backtrack, go here, go there.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of
which
did
is what I'm
that
down
in the
for.
first game, which, I wish it had more of that. Yeah, so this
this
could be
really short.
Yeah, 8-player modes and weird stuff like that. Like, there's stuff to do in this game for sure. So I think that this will look pretty good, and I'm happy that Next Level is still doing stuff.
I brought this up before we started the call, but that Mario lore extension though.
There's more.
It looks like Peach has not gotten over Odyssey. Is what I see.
Oh, I'll have to take
she
another
is
look at
mad
that.
at Mario.
It was just one little
yeah.
cutscene where Mario extends his left hand to her or something, and Peach kind of ignores him. Though it could just be that she got distracted. I'm not sure.
Oh man.
But no,
Hey.
Like, I enjoyed when I played Dark Moon when I played it, but it was more just a matter of I was doing other things, so I never went back to it.
Sure.
But like the biggest problem with that game was the mission structure, which is confirmed on, and like you know,
good
other people, and you know myself love the portrait ghosts from the first game, but you know they weren't really a deal breaker. Like they didn't have to come back, but they kind of.
I mean, you just need to have interesting things to fight, and that's really what matters. Because the problem
thing was more mansion exploration, but in the original it was both that and how do I defeat this ghost. So I think at least this one's trying to do both of them again. Which is awesome.
Because the first game. What were you saying, Dan?
So in Dark of the Moon,
Dark of the Moon.
Wait, what's that one? Dark Moon. Oh god. In Luigis Mansion, Dark Moon.
Oh,
yes.
Were any of the ghosts unique, or were they all just kind of generic blobs?
Well, they were like dogs and spiders and stuff. I remember seeing.
They weren't as unique as the ones in the first game, at least as far as I only got to the second mansion. I think there's 5, so they might have gotten more unique later. But they look better in this game from what I've seen. It's hard to compare because I didn't play Dark Moon all the way through. But like Rocco, I do think like Luigi's Mansion is good, but I was never huge. Like, this is the best thing ever.
I think a lot of people have kind of the nostalgia goggles for it a bit. I mean, it's a good game, but it definitely has some weaknesses. I mean, for me, one of the big weaknesses is just that, like, okay, once you're sucking on the ghost, that's it. There's not really any more to the combat per se in it, and at least here we're seeing. I know they tried to improve this in Dark Moon, but Luigi, there needs to be more stuff for Luigi to actually do once he's locked on, and he's got the vacuum. going. That's important.
Yeah, it's in the first game. It was more about like aiming the stick to absorb the ghost as quickly as possible, but that was also just kind of like when you try to 100% it with like a gold portrait on every ghost, and I think it really only mattered for the portrait ghost. But Dark Moon, they did the strobe light thing where like you press A at a certain point, and I think that's what they're doing again. Except now he's slamming them. Which
they did. I know they changed it. So it's like you have to be strategic about when you shine the light because you can't always have it. So I mean, stuff like that is good, and I mean, I think it says a lot that they're calling this like Luigi's Mansion 3. Just because it's like, hey man, this is not just some portable, reinvention of it. Like, it's back, baby. So
I think
that could be cool.
Luigi's Mansion 2 was the name in Japan for Dark Moon. I think they just changed that here.
So they're just being lazy. We don't get a subtitle this time.
Yeah.
Well,
subtitles.
Well, that'll be fun. I guess so. Yeah, before we get on to the next real game, we're going to talk very briefly because there was something shown that I was initially very shocked by, which was it was an ad for Dark Crystal, which was a movie that I've not seen, and that is coming back on Netflix, and they're doing a tie-in game, and the game kind of plays like a Final Fantasy Tactics or something, or just one of those turn-based strategy games. I saw a little bit of footage of it on the stream. And I don't know, this was kind of like a weird thing to show, but I think that's because I expected more, because you got the Netflix name in the corner.
I mean...
Netflix isn't even on the Switch.
That's the issue.
Let's get that first.
Yeah. Give me a Netflix before you give me the 2 Netflix tie-in games. Like...
Yeah.
Because it's Stranger Things, 3 the game, but we can't watch Stranger Things on our Switch.
It is a little weird.
Well, you can watch it on your 3DS.
Does that even work anymore? I heard that doesn't work.
I don't know.
I read some article recently that there are apps on the 3DS that are just broken and no one even bothers to fix them, obviously.
That's possible. It is possible.
So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a weird thing. And there were a few other commercially type moments in this direct that weren't necessarily a big deal or anything. But we're mentioning this because this was the first one. So I guess we'll move along to the next game, which is Link's Awakening HD, or whatever you want to call it. It's
Link's
back.
Awakening 2019.
Yeah, I didn't play much of the original, to be quite honest. I played a little bit of it because my friend had it on the Game Boy. But this is not, for me, like a big Zelda memory in the way that it seems to be for a lot of people.
I played it, and I loved it. Yeah. It's not one of my favorites, but it's definitely unique and really fun. So, and I love the new art style, so seeing it again is really cool.
Yeah, it took some time to getting used to. So I did.
Are you familiar with it? You did, okay.
And I loved it as a kid. It was like something I would always like play like occasionally.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, it's probably the most distant from like the other ones. There's just so many weird things.
Yeah, you got a lot of Mario folks.
Oh yes. I am so happy to see Wart in 3D. I swear they better not replace him. I think his name was like Mamu, or it was his Japanese name.
God.
He just didn't translate. And I'm not talking about Wart from, Majora's Mask or like Link to the Past or whatever. No.
This is Mario Wart.
Yes.
Yes. We got very weird. So I mean, it's kind of neat to keep some of those weird oddities.
Kirby better still be an enemy.
Kirby, he could show up. That would be weird.
I'm from what I've seen and like from what I've heard of impressions of the game seems to be extremely faithful to the point where like I was listening to apparently a guy who would speedrun the game like occasionally. He just did his speedrun strats and it just completely worked, and he managed to actually beat the demo, in which a lot of attendees at E3 didn't.
Oh wow!
So
the basics still work. Yeah.
It seems to be actually just a straight translation without like the screen scrolling.
That's pretty good though.
Yeah.
I should clarify, I never played the deluxe version. I only played the original. So
deluxe
it's cool that the color dungeon is actually.
Yeah, that's included. I heard that. I'm sure they'll tweak some level design where there was like a really bad level design, if that was ever a thing. If there was something that just like clearly was messed up, they might try to tweak that. But generally, yeah, this is in the same vein as some of the other projects they've done, where they're really trying to emulate and kind of reinvent an older style. And they did that with Between Worlds, which I really liked. So I wonder how much stuff from Link Between Worlds is going to be in this game. Like just a few mechanics, possibly.
The tweaks maybe aren't so much with the world. What we start with.
Do you think they're going to have like fast travel or some of the other things that were in Link Between Worlds? Like the little convenience features will probably be in this.
I would say maybe not, since the way it's just the way the game itself was designed.
Okay.
You could teleport in Link's Awakening. You could teleport to like one area.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, they might do that. They might fix that.
Yeah, I just wouldn't expect any of the like little things that
I mean, the controls are obviously a little different,
Yeah, there are like little extra things
overhauled. That's one of the things was, are they going to fix the, Game Boy had 2 buttons, so you had A for the sword and or whatever, just A and B for whatever, but you needed the sword. So it's like, I want Rock's Feather.
How did your shield work?
And the shield wasn't even an extension of Link. I actually didn't get clarification when I was watching the Treehouse. They probably said it, but
there was a point where I thought I saw the person who was playing it was guarding, but I don't really know for sure.
I assume like R or L or something will be what your shield does. But like the biggest stupid thing was the power bracelet in the game had to be put on the button. And if you go up to a rock and you want to pick it up, you just normally press A.
Yeah,
but if you want to pick up a heavy rock, you have to equip the power bracelet to A or B and then press it. And like Link to the Past didn't even do that.
Yeah, that's the bane of a lot of
Bill Trennan literally clarified that was fit. Literally, the power bracelet's just an extension of Link. You don't have to ever equip it once you get it.
Yeah, that is one of those things that Zelda has always... One of the biggest things Zelda has struggled with has been item management, because it's always different. and it's always something that they've kind of had to figure out. Some games do it a lot better than others, but it's always a point of contention, no matter what the game is. So yeah, little things like that. I'm sure you'll see.
Excellent.
There, speaking of all this like new content, there is like something I apparently was pointed out to me that apparently might have actually not a new thing, something old that actually might have been removed from it actually.
Oh, what?
So apparently, from what people saw with like the heart dungeon thing, how you could just kind of make your own dungeons.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Apparently, he is in the spot of where basically, I don't remember exactly, but it was a creature that would take pictures of you occasionally throughout the game in the DX version.
Yes, see, that was a DX thing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember that in the original.
If it took pictures of you, it may not be necessary because you just have the share button.
Well, but what I mean is, it didn't take pictures in the traditional sense. The guy would take a picture and then like a full like little tiny cut scene of a draw getting attacked by a chicken or like doing something with Marin or something like that.
Okay.
So it seems that those just might not be in there.
Or they've been moved somewhere else.
Yeah, but from what I'm seeing, how faithful this remake is, because it seems like not only like a single line has been changed, and that's the one about Yoshi being in a lot of games. But yeah, it just seems like that might be the one change of the game.
Well,
which is,
I'm sure
we'll see when the game comes out. We'll see what happens with that. But
do you guys like the new feature that they added?
The dungeon making?
Which you just mentioned? Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. That's one of those things I think that people probably have kind of imagined for Zelda. Like, whoa, what if you just mix and match the rooms? I don't know if you can... To me, the thing that this feature needs, though, you need the ability to, like, share dungeons with people. That would be really cool, in my opinion. Like, can you do that? I know there's rewards for going through a dungeon that you make. Like, that's the point, is that you make a hard dungeon, you get good rewards. But it would be really cool if you could, like, just get sent into someone's random dungeon. But I can see why they might not want that. I mean, this obviously isn't Mario Maker. Like, I think it might be difficult to make an objectively shitty dungeon. But that may be the concern, is that they want to avoid that. So that's what it is. But I think it's a feature that has a lot of potential.
I guess the last... Oops, sorry.
I was gonna say, I hope they make the bosses a lot more difficult, because they were not really fun at all in the original because of how easy. Although that eagle triggered me, because he's not hard, but his dungeon, which I think is the second to last, that is a horrible. It's not horrible, but it's so difficult. So maybe just me being bad as a kid, but like it triggered me when I saw that bird. I'm like, oh no, that's that dungeon. Oh. Yeah. But the boss is easy.
Have we been told what the amiibo does, by the way?
Oh,
yes. Sort of. We didn't see it. According to the treehouse, they said that it summoned Shadow Link.
Huh.
Shadow Link?
Yes.
Okay.
Or Dark Link, but yeah, Shadow Link. They didn't show it.
I was gonna make a joke if you get Guigi.
Well, I guess that's basically close. They did say the other Zelda Amiibo are compatible as well, but they didn't say what they do. And that actually, just because probably this is the only point where I can mention this, I'm very, very thankful that we are still getting Amiibo.
Yeah,
because Amiibo is kind of dwindling, other than the Smash ones.
Smash
ones
are really
just an obligation. Like, when we get to Mario Maker, we'll talk about the biggest disappointment, and the only disappointment, now that another thing is coming back. But I need more.
That's all there is to say about Mario Maker, in my opinion, is that they're fixing the one thing people don't like, and I don't really feel like there's that much more to say. The game's almost out. Like, just go buy it. I don't know.
I could talk for the next 5 hours on Mario Maker, but I won't.
Yeah.
I'll just say that if you watched the Treehouse, you'll see stuff they talked about. They just kind of gave you a more clear idea on what very specific things do. Like some of the clear conditions we were going over a bit more, which you can set for stages.
Yeah.
But that looks like one of the best things ever. It's the most hyped game.
Yeah, I think that has a lot of
Sorry,
potential.
everything else.
Okay, so very briefly, I guess we'll talk about, because I don't know if any of you guys have played this. Do you guys know anything about the Mana games? Because I saw that announcement.
No.
Trials of Mana is apparently a remaster or a remake. I wasn't sure if it was a new game or not, but I looked it up, and apparently it is a remake of an older game, in addition to these ports that they're releasing. I thought it was a little weird that this was announced here and not at Square's conference, because they announced literally 8 ports. So we could have added this to the total of 13 or 14 ports from Square. And that's kind of the only reason I put it down on the list. I don't know much about this series. I know a lot of them aren't in America, and that's why they're porting them.
The remake gameplay looks fun. It's like an action RPG. It looks neat. Kind of reminds me of an Ys game or Ys 8 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this thing will have its audience. I'm not very familiar generally with this, but if you like your old JRPGs, this is on your list probably.
Yeah, or if you like your Western RPGs, then you might not be that excited for this.
Oh, well, we got our next game. Yeah, I only really put this on the list just for the novelty of it, because, The Witcher 3 Switch port is real. I'm very curious to see how this plays. It's one of those things I guess people just thought isn't possible, and, I mean, to be fair, there is a video out there of The Witcher on the lowest settings possible, and this doesn't look nearly as bad as that. But I don't know.
I mean, Witcher?
I mean, I've played them. I mean, I don't love them as much as everybody else, but they are good games, and CD Projekt really knows how to make an RPG, and they know what they're doing. So this is definitely one of those things where it's like, well, I guess if you got no other way to play The Witcher 3, then sure, go ahead and play it on your Switch. I mean, the novelty of being able to play it on the go is pretty good. That's always one thing that I think keeps a Switch port somewhat relevant. Yeah. I kind of just mentioned this because it just makes me think of all these other Switch games, or these games that aren't on the Switch that probably should get a port. It's like, I mean, I've complained about this already with Persona, and there's definitely other games where I'm just like, they could totally port this. They wouldn't really have to downgrade it, and they would just print money. So if CD Projekt Red can do it, then I think a lot of other people could probably give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, if you could put Doom 2016, you could probably put it a lot of
games on.
Yeah,
that's one thing I will give credit to Bethesda, is that they seem to really be aggressively pursuing these Switch ports, and, I mean, they seem to be somewhat profitable, because I don't think they would keep doing them if the first round of them was not successful. And that engine, the id engine, or whatever the newest version of it is called, the mega textures and all that, I don't think anybody would have thought it was possible to make a decent port. So, good for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll move on to the next thing, because...
while we're on ports, just quickly.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Thank you for finally porting Spyro. I knew it was probably coming, but it was leaked 5 times, and I'm like, thank you for just finally saying, because now I can get it. I'm happy. I loved those games as a kid. Yeah,
it's one of those sports that, of course they're going to try to put it on that platform. There's people who want it. So, yeah, this next game, oh boy, I don't know exactly how long we're going to talk about this for, but talking about Fire Emblem, which was announced last year, and to be completely honest, we sort of, I would say until the stream that we had yesterday, we really didn't get a lot of information about what this game even is.
Nope.
And that's one of those things where I'm like, well, I was probably going to get it anyway, because I like the Fire Emblem games, but you want to know how things are going to work, because it seemed like they had a pretty interesting concept. And after seeing the footage of it, I was just like, oh god. It just reminded me of all these, I was one of those people where, it's like, okay, I'm going to turn these kids into super kids. And now I can do that with everyone, where I can severely, overly micromanage what I do with my units to a frightening degree.
The micromanaging is intense. I would say that's the one thing I'm worried is how much micromanaging there will be in the game.
Well,
there's going to be a lot.
They did say that you can auto-tutor people. So
yeah, that'll be for me when I'm just like, I really do this
for the
right
first
now.
run-through, that is probably an acceptable thing to do. Because this is one of those games where, I like to go through it multiple times, and I like to try to do different things with the units. And especially since it's kind of sounding like you might have to play this 3 times. I don't really know for sure, because,
I hope not.
Sure, I mean,
really
that might
hope.
be too many times to get the full experience. I do agree with that, but I'm wondering about that with the story, because, I mean, this is not a game with multiple versions like Fire Emblem Fates was. This is one game, but they really talk up this idea of, like, picking a house, and it seems to have a pretty significant effect on the units you have access to, and as we found out from the trailer, half of this game takes place at a point 5 years later, where you're going to basically be locked in to your house, because everybody's fighting now. And I think that's got
really
a lot of potential. That could be really cool if it's the story is good, of course, and the characters are good. So I'm really curious about that, because that's going to be a huge deal, kind of in the way, I mean, not to, with Awakening, that point where there's a time skip and the kids can become a thing is like a big deal when you're trying to micromanage the game. You need to have all these things done before you get to that point. So I don't know if this will be like that, but I'm really curious about it, because that this game has potential to be one of those things that I just like waste a supreme amount of time on.
Probably no kids.
No, there's no kids. That's been confirmed. There's no kids, but I still think that there is marriage after the time skip, and just having characters in who are like tied to the houses, because you can change that too. They mention that in the stream. They mention a lot of stuff on the stream. Honestly, that's one of those streams where someone's gonna have to do a write-up of everything that was shown, because it was pretty complicated.
Man, people are gonna be a little
paladin units. All of your mounted units, when they move, and they get to use the rest of their movement. I'm probably like one of the few people that actually cares that feature's actually brought back.
Well,
but
yes. Fire Emblem has been done in a lot of different ways. A lot of the games have very different rules. I didn't want this game to play the same way that Fates did. I like Fates a lot, but I obviously wanted them to try to do something new. And obviously you can look to the older games for inspiration in that regard.
Yes. If you look at Sacred Stones and the way that game kind of handled the very middle, where like I think 7 or 8 chapters in the middle were different depending on the path you took.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that's what Three Houses does, so it's not like the whole rest of the game changes.
Yeah, Fates isn't even the only game that's done that, now that you mention that, because there are different games with different routes and different forks, so yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
One feature I'm really happy they put in, because as somebody who plays this game on like normal, so happy they have a built-in reset feature.
Yeah, that's one of those things I'm glad to see back as well, because they had it in Echoes, sort of.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly the same, because it was a resource that you had like a finite amount of. So this might be a little different from that, but it is one of those features that I do feel that they've really needed, because I don't mind permadeath in a game, but when it seems like 94% of the fan base says, oh, if someone dies, you just reset, then your permadeath is busted. Like, you don't really have permadeath. In a game with permadeath, players need to keep going, and nobody does. It just seems like that's the open secret.
Nobody does. Through that.
So
that's the real big problem in Conquest, where resetting was just constant, just because of how difficult they wanted to.
Yeah, so with this,
I died
really
on training maps. Like, ridiculous.
So I'm really hoping that like this is a good feature that I think they figure out the right balance for how it'll work. How many turns you can go back or things like that. But I think that this is pretty important for these games, because I think there should be some way to correct your mistakes, that it doesn't involve turning the friggin' game off and
Yeah.
That's just
damn Berserker.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna have those moments.
Reset a turn.
So
Help start select.
And I think that turns people off from these games too, is because people make it out to be extremely hardcore, but it's I've played more hardcore games than this, personally, so I don't really feel that way. I'm just hoping for, a good time here, because Fire Emblem is really big right now. That's the thing I don't get. Like, why wasn't there more of a marketing push for this? Because, like, the phone game is quite profitable. There's absolutely an audience who would have loved to have more information until now. I mean, I'm glad we're getting it before release, but I just kind of wish that the lead up to this was a little better.
Fate's got a huge marketing push, so I'm surprised. Yeah. Like
well, we still kind of got shafted, because that's the thing that frustrates me, is that, like, I don't want to have, when I want to know what's going on with Fire Emblem, I don't want to have to go to websites where, like, they're translating, like, Famitsu articles and, like, menu text. And, like, people are already writing, like, fan wiki articles with, like, the wrong names for characters and skills, because that'll just endlessly confuse you when you're actually trying to figure things out later. Like, I don't want that to be a thing. So let's figure that out and get... I know they were doing the tweets where they were telling us the names of the characters, but, like, that's not gameplay related, so I kind of wish we got a little of both.
Yeah. I read somewhere that there were class skills returned, skills that are specific to a certain class that you will only have when you're in that class, such as only thieves and rogues or whatever, being able to open locks. I love that, because that actually made those classes useful in the old game. You can't just be a thief, get that skill, and then change to a better class like in Awakening or Fates.
Well, it's good.
That was from a translated scan, so I don't know if that's really true.
I think it is, because you can make everybody pretty much every class now. So it does make a lot of sense to have class-specific skills that you need to opt into, I think.
But, like, you need is the main thing.
So I think that'll help out.
Yeah, I only thought we were actually getting, like, a limited class pool like the older game, but I guess we're not.
What did you say? Say again?
Most likely.
Well, I from what I saw, I thought a more simplified class, like, pool when it came to, like, specific characters.
No, but there's a lot. There's a lot of classes.
It seems it's more Awakening than Sacred Stones in a way.
Well, it's more than that, it looks like. I mean, you can have everybody become everything, and you don't have to, like, do weird parent crap to make that happen. That's the thing. That's overwhelming, potentially. So we'll see how that goes. But as long as you got the baseline, the auto-tutoring, you can easily tell, okay, what is this guy good at? Okay, I'll make him this. It should be good. But I think that they're making a game that has a lot of potential here. And, I can't wait to see how it turns out, really.
Yeah. If anything, I'm really interested in how everything's going to affect the whole. That is what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, the time skip and the stuff with the story is going to be... I mean, there's a lot of potential there, because, you're building up these relationships with people, so it would be good. Because that's one of the things about Fates that I thought... It was like the stories that weren't the final route were kind of more interesting, because it was that crisis of, like, you have to fight people who you could have been friends with and stuff like that. So seeing that continue here, it would be really interesting. So I hope it's all done well. And I'm hoping for some nice info. Hopefully we'll get a little more of an info dump. But I think that we're pretty good. I was pretty satisfied with what I was seeing. So I'm on board with this one. And I don't have to really wait that long for it seems.
I love Fates. I think Fates is very well designed in terms of its mechanics. Like, there's definitely issues. But Fates has, in my opinion, by far the worst story in any Fire Emblem.
Well,
so,
that you've played. To be fair.
Again, like, as long as the game is fun, which I think it definitely looks like it will be.
Yeah, I mean,
the story again.
You got the mechanics and stuff. Like, that's the thing. You only played through the story like a few times, but you got the actual maps and the challenge and all that stuff. Like, that's what stays. Yeah. And that is more important.
And that
in my
looks so good. So I think we'll be good. I think we'll have a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. Fire Emblem fans are weird. That's all I'm going to say, because I've spoken to quite a number of them. Everyone has very different priorities for what they want, and a lot of them seem like they can't ever really be pleased. But I'm feeling pretty good about this one, as someone who hasn't exactly been disappointed with the ones I have played.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, all you can really say is that you hope that all your heroes survive, so you don't end up with no more of them.
Yeah.
So, which also reminds me of another game that I got.
Oh no more heroes! Wait a minute.
Oh, we can skip that.
You just stole my joke.
Yep, we were talking about it.
So you've got the leg up on
Mario
this.
Maker, you do want to
You have the leg up because you actually played Travis Strikes Again.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it, but I have actually not played it yet. So you knew that this was a thing. I actually didn't know that they already teased this.
Yeah. So basically, No More Heroes 3 was essentially soft confirmed. If you bought Travis Strikes Again, I guess spoilers for the ending, a character from an older No More Heroes game pops up in the base camp where you essentially hang out. So you talk to her, and then all of a sudden, basically transported to a basic Unreal Engine 4 room, where the game is now no longer like top-down. It's completely in 3D. You can move your character around. You have a basic combo, dodge roll. Basically, you can just do everything you did in No More Heroes. But once you talk to this this random doll in the room, or you attack, Travis will essentially turn around, kick you out of the demo, and they're in development. The screen cuts to black, shows a Santa Destroy logo, and then cuts away.
Yeah, so I did not know that. I didn't know that there was any kind of tease or they gave you a little bit of an engine test. So when I saw this, I mean, granted, I kind of knew that we were going to get something relating to No More Heroes in the future.
Yeah.
I knew it was most likely going to happen, but when I saw that, I was like, oh boy, he's back.
We still don't know really anything, because this was still like a CG trailer that tried to look like gameplay.
Yeah, I didn't think that was real gameplay either.
I don't think anybody really.
I mean, they put the little prompt in.
Different version. There is a different version you can find online.
Oh, really?
Called the I believe I basically put gore into the trick. I think 20 more seconds of cutscenes.
Because you can't show that for the Japanese version of No More Heroes is a lot less violent. I know that.
But you essentially get a little bit more than you would.
Not that we got that much. I mean, it was just, hey, we're making this game, and Travis is wearing a weird costume, and he's blowing things up, and honestly, there's a very real chance that we're not even going to see any of that in the game, because that's the joke. Like, to me,
no,
that feels like
none of that stuff is going to be there.
So, we'll see. I mean, that's the thing about Suda. Like, these games are weird. They're not really that good, but he has a lot of energy, and he tries. And I certainly respect that. And No More Heroes, I mean, it makes me laugh. And that's really all I want out of it. So it's like, I don't even really expect this game to necessarily be that good. I certainly want it to be better than the first two. Like, that kind of goes without saying. But
yeah,
just, let's have some fun. Put Travis in Smash.
If anything, one thing I'm, I guess, most excited for is just to see if any of the story elements from Travis Strikes Again pops up. Apparently, in Travis Strikes Again, you learn that Travis got a family. He has like kids now.
Yeah, like, there's stuff that I have heard. Yeah, there's like weird Travis lore that like it might just be a joke and we don't even know.
Like, Gene can talk now. Like, Gene's a talking cat. I have no clue if they're gonna bring that back at all.
There probably will be some explanation to very quickly explain why nothing in Travis Strikes Again is real, but that's about it. Like, that, if I had to guess, that would be it. They'll just gonna be like, oh, I don't know, that was that weird time that we played that video game, and they're just not going to acknowledge anything.
I mean, they're probably going to bring up the fact that Bad Girl is alive again. She might show up in the game again. It'd be funny if they immediately just kill her. Because
Well, yeah.
That would be a very...
Well, Suda was giving an interview where he was basically saying stuff like that, where he was like, oh yeah, there's tons of characters I want to bring back for the third one, but I can't because they're dead. So he does kind of care about continuity to some degree.
He did say at one point Bad Girl was his favorite character. Killed her immediately.
Yeah, that might be the only reason.
But yeah,
we're excited.
Yeah, you guys like that game. So.
I like it, but I wouldn't call it a classic. I mean, it is entertaining and it is memorable, but it's not even really like a good or great action game, in my opinion. But I think that the third one
I would say
be.
No More Heroes 1. No More Heroes 1 favorite games of all time. If anybody has a Wii out there, definitely.
Oh, yeah. My hope is that we get ports, because we really need.
Yeah,
that's the big
we didn't
issue.
Get them.
Suda said in an interview that there was some dispute with Marvelous, and that was holding up any potential ports, because they basically, since they were involved in producing the first one, they have to give the okay to do another port. And so my hope is that we get good ports of the first two games that also kind of improve some things, tweak some things to make them better. I don't want them to just port that weird port that they did of the first game, because there was a lot of weird stuff in that. Like, they put in bosses from the second game in it just as bonus fights, and I mean, you should try to port both games. Don't just settle for something like that. That's what I hope happens, in the same way that people are hoping, for the Metroid ports, that they get leaked constantly, but they've never materialized. So I don't know why people seem to keep, hyping that up.
Yeah, we didn't get it at all.
I didn't expect it though. There was no part of me that was under the assumption we were going to see anything Metroid related, since we got that confirmation that they restarted the game. Yeah, I know you want it, but too bad. Boot up your Wii U and play the trilogy there.
No, the Wii U is in its box and it'll never come out again.
Well, speaking of things that are in boxes and never come out again, let's talk about the next game, Contra Rogue Core. This is a new Contra game. I was honestly shocked to see this at all. And I does anyone care?
No.
When did this get announced?
That was one of the I don't know if this was ever announced before, but they showed it just in the... It was one of the trailers for... And I saw the trailer and I'm like, this looks like Contra. And then I was shocked that it apparently was Contra.
I think the issue with the game is that it looks like an early-ass, maybe late-gen PS1 game, or... It just looks bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the aesthetic of Contra. To me, at least, from the ones I've seen. It's not an excuse.
It's got, the muddiest textures I've seen in a video game in a while. It's just...
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't...
Was this an Xbox Live Arcade game they just are releasing now?
I don't think so. I mean, there are ports. They said that they're also doing some Contra ports. But I don't think that this is a port. I mean, maybe it is. I mean, I'm completely wrong. I really have no idea.
No, it seems like a new game.
I don't know who's making it. That's what I want to know.
The only good thing about this is that they are porting pretty much every Contra game to the Switch, kind of like they did with Castlevania. So that's cool.
Yeah, Konami needs to make that quick money.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all we have to say about that. I guess we'll talk about... I don't know how much we'll say about the next game, because it's Demon X Machina, which is still a really weird title. I played a bit of that demo that they did, and I was a little mixed on it, because I thought that the game still had a lot of potential, but to me it felt like the biggest thing holding it back were technical limitations. The frame rate, to me, it was one of the few games I've played where the frame rate was giving me a headache or something. And I don't exactly know what the deal is, because the graphical style is very simplistic and cell shading, and so I don't really get why they can't improve that. I hope that that's something they figure out, but who knows.
Probably a thing with optimization that they're just having
Yeah. It was just too low. Like, it felt lower than 30. Like, if it was a stable 30, it would have been fine, but it felt like a weird... It felt choppy. You know, that's what it was to me.
Yeah.
But it still could be fun.
Didn't even get to try.
Yeah, you didn't play it. I mean, you can't download this anymore. If you have it, you still have it, but they only put it up for a while.
I know.
And the feedback... They said that the feedback is important, and hopefully it's been integrated. This thing's coming out this year, and it could be pretty fun for people who like this kind of stuff. I like mech stuff, but sometimes it's hard for me to get into these mission-based, like Monster Hunter type games, so I don't know if I would buy this, but I think that it could totally find an audience, especially for people who are just really into mech stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, like, some, I guess, Armored Core style game, but a little faster, maybe the frame rate's not as good.
Yeah,
I guess this is for you.
Yeah, there's definitely an audience for this, because I have a pile of these low-budget mech games that I just bought because I saw them at the store, and I have not touched them, but maybe I'll do something with them someday. So maybe I should be buying this game. I don't know. The only other thing I noted from the streams was that it is going to, after launch, they are going to put in a versus mode, so if you're all about that versus action, it is going to be in this game at some point. Yeah, next is, I was really just kind of confused initially. I didn't realize what this was, but it's Panzer Dragoon, and it's getting a remake. I don't really know anything of it. I thought it was Drakengard or something at first, because I just get it confused. I get it confused with all these other Dragon games that existed in the 90s or whatever.
If you need to know anything about Panzer Dragoon, it's basically think like Star Fox, but with way more lore and a bit better of a control scheme with more like complicated mechanics.
Okay.
You can either actually look around the environment instead of just being stuck on a singular
Yeah. So it's all range mode, and there's actually stuff in the environment.
No, it is not all range.
Okay, but just better rail shooter stuff.
Yeah, you're on a straight track, and you can turn in the 4 directions basically. You can look at your front, your back, your left, and your right.
Okay.
So it's just everything's coming at you, and you basically just have to watch your entire self, basically.
Okay, then. I mean, this could be neat. I need to read more about this, because there was something about it that seemed very familiar, but I could not place it.
I mean, if you're into the Sega Saturn, then this...
No one knows what that is, Dan. No one knows what the Sega Saturn is.
If you know this, you'll enjoy this game. Apparently it's being developed not by Sega. It's being developed by which is interesting.
Well, it sounds. I mean, it's Sega production. Sega's producing it, obviously.
Producing it, but
I highly doubt that the original team has anything to do. There's no way that the team from back then is still even around. So it's not really that simple. So yeah, okay. I actually was not going to conclude this game originally, this next one, because I don't really have anything to say about it, but now I do, because I read something very interesting that to me is the most interesting thing about this game. Because we're talking about the new Pokemon Sword and Shield. Last year, everybody getting salty about the Let's Go games, but hey, we actually have a new Pokemon game, and it may or may not make you salty, depending on who you are. Because it has been confirmed more or less. I mean, I would say look this info up for yourself. Actually try to find an article. Do not watch a shitty Pokemon clickbait video.
No, Poketubers are the worst.
Do not go there. Don't go there for your info. But it's basically sounding like, for the first time, I guess since Gen 3, when that was new, you're not exactly going to be able to transfer your Pokemon. The only Pokemon that you can transfer into this game are Pokemon that already appear in the game. So there are Pokemon from every gen in this region, but not all of them, obviously. So
no national decks.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you have access to that, basically. There are 200 plus Pokemon in this game, I believe, from what I've heard. But if you're trying to transfer from your other games, you can only transfer those. And this is one of those things that I just assumed, eventually they're going to have to do this because there's a variety of limitations. I mean, you could say that all the 3D models is one thing and the animations, but to me, this is why I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that by limiting the pool of available Pokemon, that they're actually making like an effort to balance the game, because there are other mechanics from past games that are confirmed gone. There is no Mega Evolution, right? There's no Z moves.
No Z moves, no Mega.
That's a huge deal. I don't really think they even needed to go that far. Like, to be honest, getting rid of Mega Evolutions, that might be going too far in my opinion, but I think that they're trying to balance the game in a weird way. For once.
I would say, I don't know. I highly doubt this will be balanced. There will always be something that's gonna break something. That's just how Pokemon is.
Well,
I think
sure.
they need to change a lot more though than just cutting up some of the gimmicks they did recently.
We need it.
They would redo a lot, but I don't think they're going to.
The battle system, something needs to be done with it. It's been the same thing for.
Yeah, that's always been my issue. Is that it's just too much of the same. Like, the game itself is really easy because it is for kids, but there just isn't anything for you to do after you beat the game, really. There's just not that much. It's too easy. That's one of the things that's kind of kept me away from it. I'm just curious about this because, you know, let's say that they don't really change the game balance that much. Then, to me, that means that, like, all they've done is that they've basically just made a massive percentage of the Pokemon and the moves that they have illegal from, like, a competitive Pokemon standpoint.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of guts.
Okay. Yeah. It makes me wonder what's going to go on with that, but...
And I think that I think the people who are into that have every right to be annoyed. Because, yeah, this is like, this is massive. Absolutely on that front. This is a big deal.
It contradicts the Pokemon Home announcement.
Yeah.
Too, because that was supposed to be a place for all your Pokemon.
And it is. So it is a place for all your Pokemon. It just doesn't mean that all your Pokemon are going to be transferred to the next thing. And this is a policy shift. Like, they've made that, they said that. Like, this is a policy shift. We're moving away from this. This isn't just a thing we're doing for this one game. So my hope is that, yeah, I mean, the worst case scenario is like they release a Diamond and Pearl remake, and you can't even transfer those back to Sword and Shield. I don't think they're gonna go that far. Like, if I was Game Freak, I would definitely not do that. Like, I would try to slowly reintroduce Pokemon to this game, and then if you did have another game in this gen, they have to be cross compatible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you like Pokemon, there's a new Pokemon game, but just don't expect everyone to be there.
Yeah, granted, I don't even know how many people. How many people are moving all their Mons up though? Like, is that really what everyone's doing? You don't, like, these games are very successful, but...
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it does kind of make it a little weird that the tagline of the entire series was, gotta catch them all, but...
Yeah,
you can't really...
Well, they're just trying to highlight the socioeconomic differences in different regions, guys. You know, the world is not equal. I'm kidding. I don't know. This is one of those things I would like this to matter more than it probably will. Like, I would love for there to be real positives to this. What are you gonna say, Dan? Oh no. Hello?
Is Dan there?
Oh my god. Look, I know I've been fighting the internet all night here, but please, don't on me now.
I am dying hard, apparently. But I was gonna say, maybe the whole point of Pokemon Home is to just make it so between all the games there is a stab. Like, that's where that's where you complete it.
Yeah, that's clearly what the point is. Pokemon Home, because Pokemon Bank is now obsolete, Pokemon Home is the place where across all devices you can put stuff. So yeah, that's going to be it, and that is the point. The problem is that people didn't know that like that was only
that was the point.
The place, because now you can't put everything into one game. So I think that Pokemon Home will still matter to those people, but it will matter less because what is the point of preserving Pokemon if you can't bring them into the game? Like I would agree with that. That's
the most recent game.
Yeah, the most recent game. So they're gonna have to figure this out, and I just hope it's because they're actually trying to make balance changes. Because if I was making a Pokemon game, this is something I would do. I would say, all right, this game is not about having all 800 plus Pokemon in one game. This game is about having like the fights actually have real game balance, and we're going to tailor make what Pokemon we have and how they play and what moves they have to that experience. I mean, that could be a huge shift, but I'm not convinced that's what they're doing here at all.
I completely agree. That this isn't bad, really, in my opinion, too. But like, if they're going to do this, take advantage of it. Like, retool how like status effects work. Like, change the stats around. Like, you can go crazy with so many different things.
Right, and
because you're like, okay, we're not going to bring all the Pokemon back, but I don't think they're going to. I mean,
no,
they're just not doing it for time reasons and because it is a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. It's always, with each game, it's going to be more and more work, because the more detail you try to put in each Pokemon, the more data and space that is going to take up. So it's all... They were going to hit this point eventually, where it was just going to not be feasible. So maybe they'll patch in some Pokemon down the line if they want to do event stuff, because that's another thing, is that all those Pokemon events and like things where you could get a Pokemon with a unique move, like you went to McDonald's and you got the code or whatever, that's all gone. That's a big thing that's gone, is that you can't even do that. Which I think is interesting. It's not really a bad thing either, but it diminishes the value of that stuff.
Just don't think you're going to be able to chain down your Pokemon to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Maybe in some astral plane, but we could also,
oh god,
talk about this new thing with the chain team. It was a clumsy setup, but screw it, we're here.
This is a pretty interesting looking game, I have to say. We're talking about Astral Chain, which is the newest Platinum Games game, the first game since Nier basically saved the company from potential bankruptcy, depending on how I've heard it from some people. And
from the director.
People who did Nier's Combat, this is pretty much their project right now, because that was a joint venture with Square. That's a game that I really wish was getting ported to Switch. If you haven't, you should check that game out, because that's one of the best games of the decade, in my opinion. I don't have such lofty expectations for Astral Chain, because that would be really unfair, but I think it does have a pretty interesting idea as far as the combat and the visuals, and in a lot of ways it seems to be just as ambitious for Platinum as Nier was.
Yeah, I mean, I did look up the Nintendo Treehouse stream for this one.
Yeah, they did it twice.
They did it twice, and from what it's looking, it's kind of Nier. You kind of you have this sort of open world. You can like find like a lot of like little collectibles. There are random crimes that happen on the street.
There's more emphasis on story than in other Platinum games here. Like, you're actively participating in it.
I'm just curious, because I couldn't find anything because I was looking all over, but I don't know who's writing this game, and I really want to know, like, who's the...
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, but it's not Yoko Taro.
Well, Platinum games, you don't really need that good writing. Like, Bayonetta is...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
No one's...
She's a witch. She's a witch. She does hair stuff. Have fun.
Yeah, you don't need it, but it can help. Because when you got, like, Wonderful 101, where they've, like, really got this shit figured out, it can really work. So, I hope that the story is promising. Because right now, like, when when they first revealed this game,
the writing.
Yeah, Nier, of course, because you had Yoko Taro and all that. Like, clearly they had other people doing it, so I don't know what Platinum's doing here. But when they've revealed this game, I'm actually gesturing wildly right now with my hand. I just realized I was doing that. So the thing about this is that both times that this was shown, this was originally announced during a direct, and we saw it again here. Both times, I accidentally thought that it was Shin Megami Tensei 5 for the first, 3 seconds that they showed the game. Because it does have a premise that really reminds me of that, where it's like, I don't know, there's demons, and you gotta fight the demons now, except you obviously... I mean, in this game, you have what is basically like a stand or a persona or a demon. You have that, and that's... You control that and yourself, and that could be really cool. I hope that it controls fluidly, because I wasn't so sure when they first showed the game, but watching them play it here, it seemed like it worked fairly well. There's a lot of potential to doing a combat game where you almost control 2 characters, basically. That could be really cool, so I hope that they explore it fully. This looks pretty good. This looks pretty good.
Just as
I'm playing it because I don't play, but I probably should. So maybe
yeah, this game's coming out really soon too.
Yeah, I recommend it. I haven't played it, but hey, supporting the end.
Oh, I did play Platinum game. I'm sorry, it's probably the worst one they made in a long time.
Platinum is a company that has a lot of substance behind what they do for the most part. They don't always have their wins. Yes, some of the games in their catalog are inconsistent because they certainly do a lot of work that's like, people like to use Platinum's name really hard because they are known for making some really good action games. But, I mean, with this game, I don't have any doubts about, who is this game for? This isn't like the licensed games they did for THQ, where they trick you into thinking that's going to be, an amazing experience. This is a game that they're making with Nintendo, and, seems like it's all them. And I think that they're trying to do something different here. And that's really what I want, because I don't want Platinum to just make, Bayonetta clones forever, basically. So this could open some opportunities for them, depending on how it turns out. So I'm definitely going to pick this one up, and I'm pretty excited for it, especially now that I've seen a good hour or so of stuff. I'm pretty hyped for this one.
I hope it does well.
They waited to announce it pretty late, so I don't know. But Platinum has a following for sure. It's not the biggest following in the world, but it gets bigger each year. More and more people seem to know who they are. So,
I mean, this game looked confusing when they first revealed it, but then I saw Kamiya and I'm like, now I understand. It's Platinum.
Yeah, it's those guys. I was very surprised because this didn't look like something Platinum would do. It deviated a lot from what they've usually done. It is still an action game, but their ambition is different here. And I don't know. I want to be Demon Cop Man, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You don't want to be
Demon Cop girl?
You don't want to be girl?
I'll flip a coin.
You want to be girl.
Well, the character that you don't pick is still in the game. They did say that. So, if you pick the male character, the female is your sister and is still in the game. So, they're both in the game. So, it doesn't even matter.
Whoever you pick becomes the silent protagonist, from what I...
Well, you're not completely silent, but yeah, it's you don't... I don't know.
Oh, you're not?
Well,
okay.
He says some stuff in combat, but I don't know if he talks in cutscenes or whatever. I mean, it's not necessary.
It seems your sibling talks for you most of the time.
I think that's exactly why they did it. That's becoming a trope. I've seen that in the last couple of years. There's a lot of games with that where they're you can pick your gender, but the other one is still in the game. I don't know. I've noticed that in the last couple of years. I don't really know how that started.
They did that with 2, and the person you didn't pick immediately died.
Yeah.
They're like there for a minute, and then
Fallout 4 did that
door blows
as
open.
well.
Pokemon did that.
Pokemon does do that. Yeah. It's just one of those.
Yeah.
Things.
I don't think Sun.
So, I don't have a segue. Speaking of Japanese companies that are known for making action games, we're talking about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order, which I saw some footage of, and it didn't exactly blow me away or anything. I mean, it looks exactly how I would expect this to look, because Ultimate Alliance was just one of those, it's a licensed action game. It's kind of like Diablo or something, and you punch people and you get to play as all these superheroes. And it's another one of those.
Yeah.
But it was kind of refreshing in a way, because I'm like, this game knows what it is, and it's just trying to do that. It's not going to be the most complicated action game in the world. But you compare that to the other Marvel game that just got announced, where we were complaining because they really didn't show footage. They are showing a demo at E3, so my hope is that is going to be uploaded publicly in the future. So we know there is some gameplay of that game, but this to me is at least visually it looks like what you expect from something like this. We were making fun of the characters in the other trailer for looking like the off-brand versions of the MCU.
Yeah.
And these guys, they look bright and colorful and fantastic, and that's kind of what you want.
Comics.
Yeah. Well, but they don't even have to look exactly like they do in the comics. To me, it's they have to mesh. They have to all look like they belong together. And the more realistic you make stuff, the harder it is to make that work. So, I'm curious about this one. It seems like a good game to play with friends for sure, because it's a 4-player brawler and all that. And I mean yeah. What are you saying?
I forget if I played Ultimate Alliance 1 or 2, but the games didn't really interest me just because it was very kind of mindless.
Yeah.
But I'm also not big on Marvel, so if you like just playing as all the heroes and villains or whoever, it's probably fine. I mean, it gets the job done.
The roster's
got
nice.
More characters now.
Because, you have a good mix of new characters, old characters, and also characters who... Well, this was one of the things that the guy who was showing the game said, where he was like, yeah, there's so few opportunities where you get to work on a game or something like this, and you have access to all these characters. And I'm just thinking about Marvel vs. Capcom, and how they just got brutally fucked by having to... We don't even really know the reason to this day, but removing so many of the Marvel characters and just making it a mishmash of here's the Avengers and 1 or 2 Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's throw out all these villains. And this game has everything. I mean, they got the Inhumans in here. There's crap that the general public doesn't know anything about, and they still put them in. So it's clearly inspired. We got Deadpool and everything. Deadpool was cut from Marvel vs. Capcom, but here he is, and it's the same. He's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So
they have one that surprised me the most is they have a DLC pack for the Fantastic.
Yeah, we haven't seen those guys.
That's the big, because they're still
well
still by Fox.
No, because Fox is owned by Disney, so it's not a rights issue.
Right. Listen,
it's official now.
Keeping up with these rights.
Well, it was never. Well, that's the thing, was that it wasn't a rights issue to begin with, because there was nothing stopping Marvel from putting in the X-Men, in Infinite. They just, I guess, couldn't, or they didn't want to, because of the merchandising aspect. It's we don't want to promote our rivals, whereas Spider-Man is in all these things. Spider-Man is in all these things because Sony made a really bad merchandising deal where Sony does not actually make merchandise off of the movies, in exchange for making money off of the movies, which didn't matter because The Amazing Spider-Man bombed horribly. So Spider-Man is continued to be in everything, whereas X-Men, you see them less and less. They don't make X-Men TV shows anymore. Outside of the comics, it seems like Disney doesn't really want to do anything with them. So seeing them back and seeing that they're really pushing into that catalog, that's usually what you want with a game like this. And I think for people who really like these kinds of brawlers and games where you have all these characters, this will probably appeal to them, because it seems like right out of the box you're gonna have all this stuff. Because like, compare this to like Disney Infinity. It's like, oh, you gotta buy all the heroes separately. You know what I mean?
Boy.
Darth Vader's my favorite Disney character.
Yeah,
and Spider-Man.
That's kind of the issue.
Yeah.
Is I compare this to other recent Marvel video game efforts, and it's like, well, they just kind of shit the bed. This game doesn't appear to be shitting the bed, so by default it looks really impressive to me, like maybe more so than it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense?
It should be good enough, I'm sure. Like,
Yeah.
if you like Marvel, it's gonna be a fun game. You know, I know in the old one I played, at least, it was, you couldn't switch characters, I think, between stages or something.
You can switch pretty frequently in this from the demo.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so then that's problem solved then.
You got four
I am
people.
curious how the combat's going to play like. If
It looked
it's
okay. It didn't look very complicated.
A lot of the other ones.
But it didn't look like a mess as far as what was happening on screen.
Yeah, Diablo games tend to just turn into messes.
Yeah. So it looked, it looked okay. Speaking of games that look okay, even though we didn't really see gameplay of this, I'm just joking. We have to mention this.
Well,
It's our favorite.
Okay.
It's our favorite crossover of all time. It's
Yep.
Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, just in time for Tokyo 2020 Olympics. They've skipped years in the past. They are back. It is a franchise that I've always... Well, okay, I'll be honest. I only played the first one, but I've always been fascinated by. And I can't wait.
Why did this? They're okay. Some of the old ones are okay, but like, I didn't even play the most recent ones. But like, why can't they do something different?
No, it's the Tokyo Olympics, so they have to make one. It's a hometown Olympics,
Big deal.
so they have to do it.
I mean, as long as we get a cure stage.
To me,
So I'll say a good
Yeah.
thing. The characters have outfits. They have different outfits for the event.
yes,
I like that.
yeah. Sonic wearing clothes is weird, by the way.
That looks
Yeah.
good.
Like he's wearing outfits. Yeah, I
Oh my
really
gosh.
think there's... Yeah, Eggman with no shirt was glorious. We've been waiting for that for so long. That was amazing. I don't know. I mean, in a weird way, it's like 20 years... Not 20, 10 years, excuse me. It's been over 10 years since... It's 2020, but yeah, it's been over 10 years since the first one. So in a weird way, I would kind of love to go back and play the new one, just to see how much has changed in 10 years, and I'm sure a lot has. But I mean, these to me are jokes. Like, this game's a goddamn joke. The first one I thought was a joke.
One was bad.
Ugh, I don't know.
The
first one
second
annoyed me.
and third, I guess, I never cared for any of them, but people like the second and third.
No,
the
me
first
neither.
winter one.
We tried to
and
play the
second
Wii U winter
summer
one, and it was really
Well,
bad.
that was bad. Yeah, because that one just shoehorned gamepad gimmicks, and they
Yeah.
basically all of the winter games from the Wii one, which I guess were at least okay. Like, the dream events are okay in the games, but like the regular Olympic events are just boring. And the story mode, which is in the handheld version, those are amazing because of how terrible they are in terms of the story, but it amuses me, so I find that we only have one version now, so I hope there is a story mode in the one version.
Yeah, I mean, if this is going to be the last one ever, then they got to make it the best. You know, let's do it. Maybe we could get a Super Smash Bros. Ultimate-sized venture from Sega here to make this the most amazing Olympic game of all time. Wouldn't that be great?
Tokyo's being attacked by evil fox. Resemble the other characters. So they literally did that for the London one. Like, Bowser and Eggman were not invited to the Olympics, so they made fog versions of the other characters to take over London. But actually, spoilers if you haven't played, the letters just got lost in the mail. So like at the end, everybody apologized, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we can have fun."
That sounds good. That sounds brilliant to me.
Also, Dry Bowser is a different character from Bowser in that game, and I hate when they do that. So, yeah.
Dry Bowser
gotta get him in there.
Yeah, alright. These are the iconic characters, and you're just jealous.
He's just a thug. He's a thug. Him and Dry Bones are just thugs that Mario and Luigi run into with Toad, and they're in the way. And it's like, we need to stop Bowser and Eggman, but you guys are in the way. And I'm like, but Bowser's right in front of you, and he's dead.
Yeah. It's good stuff. So I guess we'll move on, because we've only got 2 games left here. And I watched a little bit of the gameplay of this next one. Because it's Animal Crossing,
all of it.
Which we were kind of surprised Animal Crossing wasn't teased last year. Of course, that's since been rectified, and we got our first look at it. This game is coming out, one of the many games that's coming out in early 2020 that people are going to be scrambling for, probably. And I haven't really been a big Animal Crossing fan since Wild World, just because I've been like, look, these are too much. I can't play these anymore. But this one looks very, very different in a way where it could get me back. So what do you think of it?
I think it looks cool. I always joke that I love Animal Crossing until I play it for like a few months, and then I hate it because it never ends.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to buy the new one every time anyway. So as long as they mix them up and do different things, they'll be fun for the amount of time.
And it's been a long time since the last one.
It had been.
So
I didn't do the update I never played New Leaf after the update. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It looked fun, but the changes they're making here. I know people were hoping they would do the mayor thing again, but I figured as long as they do something unique, in the same way that being mayor was unique, then that's fine.
Yeah, you can't say this isn't unique. This is huge.
Mm-hmm. So, like, the island gimmick is... there's a lot of potential for that. There's little things like the pole vaulting over the river, that looks fun. But even just, like, putting furniture outside, that's really cool. That's something that... I guess they did, but we don't really talk about that.
No.
So, this is... I liked that game until I realized it wasn't a game and just toy. But, yeah, at least they're taking elements from that and letting you do it in a real Animal Crossing. So,
I think they're gonna take elements from Amiibo Party.
Amiibo Festival, that was a good game.
And there's that one minigame in Amiibo Festival with the island survival. Oh yeah, island survival. They put that in New Leaf's update.
Yeah.
So in this game, the only thing even worth talking about from Amiibo Festival.
Yeah.
Happy Home Designer could have been good if it actually was a game, but it wasn't. So,
what was that? Like, what did you do in there?
You decorated people's houses for them.
Yeah, you decorated the first Animal Crossing where you were judged based on the color furniture in each corner, and you were given points based on actual statistics. In Happy Home Designer, as long as you put the 3 things the villagers wanted in the house, you could do whatever you want, and they'll give you a perfect score. So I just filled the entire house with like the same furniture, and I couldn't even walk. But the dialogue was just that he was so happy, and he's like, "This is beautiful. Thank you so much for doing this." And I'm like, I was having fun until I realized that everything I did didn't matter. Like all that thing shui or whatever they call it from the first game that wasn't implemented in Happy Home Designer. So
is there even, like, other than that, do you do anything else in Happy Home Designer, or is that it?
Nope.
Guys, we're not talking about these games. These games are old. We gotta talk about the new one. Because Animal Crossing's back.
We're talking about...
And Animal Crossing is back. It's called Minecraft. That was what I thought immediately.
Actually, That's a good point, because even though I didn't play too much of it, Pocket Camp did have some good ideas. Like, crafting was pretty cool, so taking elements
that's a
from
huge
Pocket
deal
Camp
as far as that.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a very interesting way to do it. And that's the thing, is that at the end of the day, when, like, the end game of Animal Crossing is to make the perfect town. So the more that you can kind of directly control what your town is, the better, to the point where, yeah, now you're controlling virtually everything, I think. And so having the crafting system, having these resources and that option, like, that was kind of inevitable, I think, for Animal Crossing. It was always going to go in this direction at some point. And it's happening now.
Sure.
Well, I also wonder, actually, with the now that they have this kind of 8-player multiplayer thing
Sure.
going on, is that gonna? Can you, like, have a multiplayer town, or is it just gonna be like you visit?
Well,
because if we could build the town together,
what did they say? Do you remember what they said, Mike?
Okay, so in the past, at least, you can play multiplayer. Not the first game, but starting with Wild World, you could play multiplayer, but only one person per town could interact with people in other towns. You can have multiple people and file in the same town, but you would never be able to play together. In, like, two people who have a file on the same, like a Wii, for example, with Safo, could never play together. They just lived in the same town.
Yeah.
You can do that in this, though. You can actually play. It looked like, because they were playing together with two people who live on the same island. So that's actually really cool. That would have been a really cool thing to have, like, in the other games.
Yeah, but they're doing it now. It's finally happening, and it could be a game changer. You know?
Like
line. Like, we can't have a town if we have different switches. I mean, they didn't confirm that, but I doubt that's the case.
It would be cool to log into our town server, and then I have my house, and I just, like, do stuff, and then you happen to be online, and then we just have to do stuff together.
That would be really.
Yeah, but I guess that's not what's in there.
They didn't say.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we still got a year till this thing comes out.
We don't have a year.
Till we see.
I mean, it's almost a year, but yeah. we
like a
much.
Till between Animal Crossing and Fun.
Yeah, I mean,
you guys upset that Isabelle was not in the trailer?
I don't care. You're the only one who cares.
They confirmed.
Never played New Leaf.
No, I don't care.
Isabelle will be in the game. So
there's only one Animal Crossing character who I truly care about, and he's Digby. Because he's got the most pathetic amiibo that you just see at all the stores. Where's Digby?
I want Digby to... There's no street pass. He's gonna have a new role.
Yeah.
That cat's in every game, right? The purple one? With the yellow eyes?
Wait, are you talking about a generic villager, or like one of the, like, notable characters?
The one who, like, greets you on the bus in one of the games.
Rover?
He's not purple.
Rover, yeah. Oh,
he's just a regular looking blue cat, as all cats look.
Yeah, I think
he's not.
Might not be in Wild World.
In Wild World, he is not. He's in the game, but he doesn't do that, because you just, like, Cap'n takes you on a taxi ride or something.
Right, I think he's just in the bar.
Yeah, you can see him in there sometimes, yeah. So yeah, this could be a big deal. I mean,
not relevant.
No, I don't know. I mean, people who really love Animal Crossing, it's like, this is kind of like a soft reboot, because it's been so long since New Leaf. Like, this is an opportunity to get a lot of new people on board, and that's probably why the mechanics have been changed so much. So it could be a huge deal.
Yeah.
And as the title says, it's new horizons for the series. You know.
It's a new horizon, but it's no Wild World. In fact, we might even see a new Wild World.
Wild! Oh no!
Next game.
No, but you just had an Animal Crossing game for the DS. That was false.
That was
false advertising.
Okay.
I tricked you.
Oh god.
You should have said it was so wild it took my breath away.
So, okay, I'm gonna start. I am so happy that my favorite character, Ganondorf, is back. I'm so happy.
See, I only watched the trailer once. I really gotta rewatch it.
Looks so amazing. He's doing so great. I'm so happy he's back.
Ganon's doing fine. This was surprising. This whole thing.
Yes.
Like, I didn't think that, you know, I knew that they would want to do a sequel, and I knew that mechanically it obviously was going to not be that different, because there's no reason to throw all the stuff they did for Breath of the Wild out. But I was kind of... I guess I just didn't think about it much. It's like, yeah, I mean, they're going to just do a straight-up sequel, which is not a bad idea, because that's the thing, is that Breath of the Wild tried so much, and I think that to see them refine it and iterate on it, like, that's not a very common thing with Zelda. So to see them do it, this is like the perfect time to come back and try to improve it. The thing that this is the thing, is that I think that this has potential, but I'm also not sure about it. Is that, like, we've already, you know, explored this world very thoroughly, so they're gonna really have to do a lot to change Hyrule. If they're gonna reuse the same Hyrule, like, things have got to be really different, you know.
Well, what I'm thinking is what's happening is
Dark.
Definitely. Well, this has to do a sequel. But I also find that, like, in the trailer, you can see the castle kind of rising up. So I believe
things are changing.
If anything,
like, that's clear enough.
Right, if anything, the castle will rise, but I feel like it'll also lead to, like, a tectonic shift within the entire, like, world.
I'd like to see things get trashed. Yeah.
Basically the whole world is gonna go through this big cataclysm, and it's just gonna redo the whole world map.
I think
they'll probably find, like, remnants of people.
Yeah, it would be cool to see, like, some of the same characters. Yeah, some of the same houses and things. Like, I would like the continuity of that, because that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, the world is going to have to be sizably different, you know, from how it was, because obviously, like, it just needs to be. This is going to be a real sequel. The thing to me that the trailer got me thinking about, and I don't know.
The short hair.
I didn't even notice that, to be honest. But to me, the thing that I was noticing, because I'm like, hey, they are underground right now. Huh, you know, it would be really nice if we had big underground areas, kind of like dungeons in this game. Because I think... not
dungeons could come back.
But I say that mostly not because I just want dungeons to come back, but because, like, that's really going to fundamentally shift the way that you play the whole game. And that's obviously why they weren't in Breath of the Wild. Because, you know, yeah, you're underground. You can't... Climbing doesn't save you. You know, like, if they could create a really compelling experience of going through, like, a enclosed, cut-off environment, you know, with the same level of detail and stuff that they put into, you know, exploring the open world, that could be awesome. Like, there's a lot of potential right there.
Well, what actually makes me, like, think is, it's something I've wanted, but if they're gonna, like, do that, then they might have to have a situation where you essentially have to reset the player, because Link has all of his abilities from, like, the last game. So what I'm thinking is maybe they're gonna have it so maybe Link gets captured, and you'll have to play as Zelda and rebuild your stockpile or arsenal of stuff. Like, go to the dungeon, and then you know, where it's like, go to the dungeon, get the item, use the item in the dungeon.
Maybe. I mean, I'm sure they'll come up with something. They need to preserve the freedom of the game world. I don't think you're going to play as Zelda or anything. I think that's just the thing that everyone says every time they make a goddamn Zelda game. But I think that as far as bringing up new tools and things like that... I just think that new tools and new spells and all sorts of stuff, like, there's a lot that I feel they could just add to the experience that could make it really interesting.
more monsters.
Yeah, more monsters and stuff like that. Like, there are definitely areas where they just need to add more. I don't think that things really need to be changed that much. Like, there are definitely some people... combat could be improved, but I will say that a lot of people complain about this. I actually really did not have any problem with weapons breaking. There was never a time while I was playing the game where weapons breaking actually was like a problem, because it was pretty easy to get more stuff. I don't think that they need to add... That's what I see a lot of people saying. When they improve the game, here's what they should add. And a lot of people say, weapons that you can reinforce or whatever. I'm not completely against that, but that's actually an area that I don't think they need to improve on. I think they need to just make the combat better, more variety in terms of the weapons you have, and the enemies and all that stuff. Like, that to me is way more important.
Well, here's the thing. I believe the weapon durability maybe shouldn't completely be abandoned, but... make it stuff, like, maybe have a separate section for, like, broken stuff. Like, because in Breath of the Wild, you can get the healing shield. And once that breaks, it's gone.
No,
like,
I think that
out of the game world.
I think that certain things could be broken, and then you could have to... I think that, like, if you could repair a completely broken thing, that's okay. That's not terrible. For me, it's more of just, like... making it so that you can constantly fix your weapons to stop them from breaking. I don't know. There's a couple ways it could be done. Like, if only really good weapons you can fix, whereas a lot of the normal crap will break and it's actually gone. I think there are ways you could do it, but generally that, to me, wasn't really a big point of contention. I mean, there are... One thing I actually would like to see... And this could be optional, to be fair. Like, this could be rules that you can turn on and off. But I would actually like to see them go a little harder on some of the survival elements that are already in the game. We're not to the point where it's something you have to babysit, but like, hey, getting food is nice and all, but now there's actually like a limit to the amount of food that you can eat over time. So you can't just farm like a million apples or whatever. Like, there are areas like that where, you should have to be a little more careful. Yeah, you can make a lot of food, but you can't just eat it all at once. Things like that.
It was brought up that apparently a lot of the younger developers who are working on this game are taking a lot of influence from Red Dead Redemption 2. Hopefully not too much.
I mean, I'm sure they're just taking influence. Like, with this game, it's so clear that they were just looking at a whole lot of Western stuff and open world stuff. So I'm sure that they were looking at Red Dead 1 with that last game. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think that it's more about taking the ideas rather than specific mechanics. That's what makes Breath of the Wild a really compelling experience, was that you could have been, concerned that they were just going to rip off a lot of open world games. But they didn't. They just kind of took the ideas, like, how are you supposed to feel playing those games, and tried to just recontextualize everything and do the mechanics from the ground up. And that's what really makes it a really special game. And so I would love to see them iterate, because that's the thing, like, you can make a great game, but if you can keep that momentum going with a great sequel, that's like, oh my god. And I don't always expect that from Zelda. I mean, my favorite Zelda game is a game that is a sequel. That's Majora's Mask. That's an iterative sequel in a lot of ways to Ocarina. So, to see them doing this again...
That's why this is so exciting.
Yeah.
They haven't done this for 3D Zelda since Majora's Mask. And I know the 2D ones, like Spirit Tracks, got it. But it's still, like, they have to. It's Breath of the Wild. Like, you think they do, but...
They were never going to throw this all out. But I'm so surprised that it's a direct sequel. Honestly.
I'm very glad.
There's a lot of potential to this one, and we don't know that much about it, obviously.
I do feel like in the storytelling there was maybe a little bit they could have expanded on.
Well, they were trying to be. I mean, they're not going to tell you anything. I mean, most Zelda game trailers, they don't really tell you the story at all, and I think that for this, it's like... I would have
even like the trailer gives off a mood, like a really interesting...
The trailer is very... It does have a mood. It's very, like... I think they want you to watch it a couple times and stuff like that. And I think it worked for this. I mean, no gameplay and all that, but, like, we know what kind of gameplay we're getting. Because it's so clear what kind of game this is to me, as far as, like, it's Breath of the Wild 2. Like, it's not called that, but that's what it is. Mm-hmm. So, I'm really...
So you can put masks on this time. No.
Oh, that would be so weird.
You could do it in Breath of the Wild.
No, I know.
Just they didn't do it. They just didn't.
Transformation masks.
Yeah, transformation masks. Oh man.
Hey. I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, imagine if you could just turn to all the people you met.
Oh, the champions?
Yeah.
No, not the champions. The descendants.
It would be sad to see the descendants die to make the masks happen, but...
Oof. Well, that's one thing I want to bring up. I want to bring that up because you know, the trailer had a very much a mood to it. And I think Onuma already said something he really shouldn't have said, which was, this is going to be darker than Majora's Mask. And I don't necessarily have any reason to believe him, because that's going to be very hard to pull off, because Majora's Mask is like, the darkness in it, the darkness that's in it is very like, it's very like underlying. I mean, it's a game about masks, so that's the idea. It's like, it looks one way, but it is another. And so I don't know if they can do that again, but I mean, the idea of taking what I thought that Breath of the Wild had a really interesting atmosphere, and I liked the way that they twisted a lot of the stuff that you typically see in a Zelda game. And they had some really interesting ideas, and I would really love to see them continue that. And also, yeah, I mean, if you twist that in a way where you make it creepy and weird, that's fine with me, because it's like, I don't want every Zelda game to be like that. But when you make it work in the right way, you can have some really strong moments, and that's usually the stuff that I do remember the most from Zelda games. So I welcome the challenge, but I don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. That's a tall order.
I mean, if they want to go like against dark, you could try and maybe deal with, I don't know, those like feelings of like Chief 100 years ago.
It is,
and maybe like
meeting
up with the villagers, being like, "Oh, hey, you're not a failure." Like, oh.
I mean, it could be you could do it that way, where you try to pursue the character stuff more, because that is something that was in this that made Breath of the Wild unique. I think was like, the insight into the characters was pretty different, the way they want to tell that story. So they could try to do that, or it could be more like, this isn't about the past, this is about the future. And I think that there's a lot of stuff they could do it. I mean, I think it would be really interesting to see the world get trashed, and you could really like manipulate that. If you just like, hey, remember this village? Oh, look at what happened to it now. There's definitely some potential there, and you could bring the characters back and do bad things to them. I don't know. This is just what I would do if I was trying to like, to mess with the audience. That's kind of the stuff that I would think to do, but I don't know if that would be entirely appropriate for a Zelda game. But I think that just bringing back the creepy stuff.
I mean, we've had a lot of, like, even though a lot of people don't really remember those parts of Zelda, there's a lot of kind of messed up things in Zelda.
Those are always the parts that stand out to me as in these games.
Mean, you were talking earlier, like, that whole game is just horribly depressing once you get.
Well, that's what makes that special. I mean, but you have other games where it's like there's just parts. Like Twilight Princess has parts that are like specific. Wind Waker has specific parts. Skyward Sword has a few as well. Like, there are always these parts that that hit a lot harder than others, where it's like there's like a kind of a grim reality to the characters. And I don't know. I mean, if you tried to put that in a whole game, oh god, I don't know. But that's what Nier did. Nier Automata did that, and that was an amazing game. So I don't know.
I mean, think about like you said earlier, Ocarina of Time. You have this whole world where like everything's kind of fine,
and then it's
then you head to the future. You head to the future. After Lon Ranch is taken over by that horrible asshole you met.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping that going. If you realize
they're prisoners.
Yeah, if you realize this on a higher scale, like, there is so much potential. And I really hope that's what they're gonna do. And I don't even really know, but it fills me with a level of like excitement that you don't always get. And I mean, maybe we're hypocrites because we were talking shit about a lot of trailers for not showing gameplay, but like, I don't know. This one gave me like a feeling. I actually felt something when I watched it because I knew what it was. It wasn't a trailer for a game I've never seen before that gives me nothing. You know, like I got something out of it, and I think I know what this is.
It makes you like think about what it could be and like what the possibilities. A lot of these other CG trailers with like, we reset every time we kill each other and there's a cycle. It's like, okay, I don't know who any of these people are. But I know who Zelda is. I know who Link is in those games. I know who Ganondorf is in the grand scheme of things, and I'm really curious about what's happening in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it's so subtle in what it tries to tell you because it doesn't really tell you anything, but it makes your mind go places.
Yeah,
and that's what a good trailer really does.
Yeah, because I really don't like speculating on trailers because a lot of them are intentionally very cryptic, and when a trailer actually does get me to like think about it for a while, that's like a pretty bold accomplishment. So they managed to make it work here, and I think that it was definitely a good way to end off everything because I truly didn't expect this announcement. I mean, we had a stupid bet going about whether or not Odyssey 2 was going to be here, and it wasn't, but it doesn't matter because we got Breath of the Wild 2 instead. So I don't care about that.
But it's like, so Breath of the Wild, I felt like it came out first, so of course you get the sequel first, but that's usually not how Zelda works, and since Galaxy Mario's kind of always been getting sequels, so I'm like, it's gotta be Odyssey 2. Breath of the Wild 2 will happen later.
When you think Zelda, it's like one per console, that's what you think.
Yes.
And it's like, nah.
Yeah, this is the first time since the N64 that a main 3D Zelda is getting like, a direct sequel. That's for sure. I mean, it's a little debatable. Twilight Princess is the odd man out as far as what console it's on. But yeah, typically that's the rule. It is only one per console. So, yeah, unless you guys have anything else to add, I think we have managed to successfully cover E3 Nintendo this year. And I think that talking about it reminded me that this was a pretty good showing from Nintendo.
Absolutely.
I feel good about
this.
Best
conference.
Yeah.
Best one of all of them.
I know people tend to say that a lot, but, I do feel this year that it is true. They actually did pull through with something better than what everybody else brought to the table. At least for me.
A nice variety, a lot of focus on a lot of different things. Last year, they a lot on Smash, which was great, but it was a little too much. Here we got a nice balance of, here's Animal Crossing, here's Luigis Mansion, here's some third-party ports, here's No More Heroes. That was cool.
There's something for everyone here instead of just kind of like the hardcore story-based thing that every other trailer in every other content.
They actually had things were varied, but they also focused on them. It wasn't like Microsoft where you dump like a billion trailers for indie games in there in between your 3 actual announcements. This really...
And it's good the trio streams help.
I love them. Everybody needs to do this. Everyone needs to do stuff like this for E3. I know a lot of the companies are trying, but I feel that I've never gotten nearly as much information out of watching these streams as I have watching the Treehouse ones. And that really helps.
A 40-minute direct told me more about what a company is doing than a 2-hour Xbox event.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I don't know. This will probably be the best thing, unless Sony, rises from the ashes and somehow comes through with the greatest thing ever in a month or two, which I don't think will happen. This is it. This is the big mid-year announcement stuff that to me mattered and will impact games that I purchase. I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yeah? What's that butt? I heard a big butt.
Oh, I was gonna say, if anything, all we can say is, I guess at this point, we thank you for listening. We'll see you next year for maybe some.
I swear to God, there's gonna be some podcasts in between this time. I just never bully people into doing it. I've had ideas, I just never really bothered to approach you guys about it.
What's the ones in Discord you've posted?
There's been a couple, but I know they'll happen. They'll definitely happen. No spoilers talk. So hopefully we can get this going in between regular videos. Of course, I don't just do this. This is a side project. You know what I mean?
Greg.
The H.H. Greg Memorial Podcast would have been good, but H.H. Greg has been gone for 2 years and no one else really knows about this joke. So
yeah, but we gotta do a right memorial. We gotta set the record straight.
Stay tuned for episode 6, which will definitely be the H.H. Greg Memorial Podcast. So we thank you for listening, everybody. Goodbye.